When a phone exists that is technically and practically almost identical to another phone that costs significantly more, who exactly is the joke on? Is it on the buyer who paid more? Or is it on a brand strategy itself? The first thing I noticed when I picked up the POCO M8 Pro wasn't excitement. It was familiarity. Not in a this feels like every other phone way, but in a very specific way that made me pause for a second. Because if you've already handled the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus, the POCO M8 Pro immediately feels familiar in your hand. The weight distribution, the frame, the overall shape, and that familiarity is not accidental. Because technically and practically, the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus is the POCO M8 Pro with one major camera difference and a different design direction at the back. Everything else is almost identical. Here's a small telling detail from my experience. I had a case that came inside the box of the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus lying around. Out of curiosity, I tried fitting the POCO M8 Pro into it, and it fit perfectly. It felt like it was made for it, and that was the moment where everything clicked. These phones are not just similar on paper, they are physically the same platform. If you remember the marketing around the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus, one of the big talking points was its called height and durability. Now, that term is obviously marketing, but what matters is what's behind it. And what's interesting here is that the same durability philosophy, the same internal reinforcement, the same overall build confidence is present on the POCO M8 Pro as well, even though POCO doesn't market it as aggressively. So yes, the Titan durability branding technically belongs to the Note 15 Pro Plus, but in actual use you are getting the same level of toughness and build integrity on the POCO M8 Pro, just at a much lower price point, and that's something worth pointing out. Moving on to the display, and again, this is where things continue to overlap. Same size, same resolution, same refresh rate, same overall viewing experience. Scrolling through social medias feels identical, watching videos feels identical, brightness behavior indoors and outdoors feels the same. This isn't a situation where one panel feels slightly better tuned than the other. Now, let's talk about performance because this is where the POCO identity usually comes in. POCO has always been known as a performance first brand, and that's their reputation, that's their core audience. So seeing the POCO M8 Pro use the same chipset as the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus is actually more significant than it looks, because this tells us something important. It tells us that POCO is no longer just targeting performance-centric users. POCO is getting bigger as a brand, big enough to justify catering to a broader audience, big enough to offer balance instead of just raw power, and in daily use the performance reflects that. Everything feels smooth, app switching is consistent, animations don't feel rushed or jittery, and it's not that kind of phone where you constantly think about performance. And honestly, that's a compliment. Software-wise, both the POCO M8 Pro and the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus are on equal footing. Same software support, up to 4 major Android updates. That already puts both phones in a good position long term, but out of the box, there's one small detail worth mentioning. You're getting HyperOS 2.0 based on Android 15, not HyperOS 3.0 that's based on Android 16. Is this a big deal? Not really, but it does reinforce the idea that these phones are launching in a slightly awkward transition period. Now let's talk about the one thing that actually separates these two phones in a meaningful way: the main camera. Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus uses a 200 megapixel main camera, POCO M8 Pro uses a 50 megapixel main camera. Everything else is essentially the same. Ultra-wide behavior feels similar, selfie camera experience is the same, video features and limitations are the same. Now, because this is an impressions video, I'm not going to judge camera quality yet. But what I can say is this: if you bought the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus primarily for that 200 megapixel sensor, then yes, that difference matters. But if you're not someone who heavily relies on extreme resolution or aggressive cropping, the POCO M8 Pro immediately becomes very interesting. And that leads to a bigger question. The other difference between the two phones is the back design. The Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus looks more premium and refined, while the POCO M8 Pro leans into a more playful POCO style identity. This part is subjective. Some people will prefer the Note, and some people will prefer the POCO. But again, this is purely surface level. Underneath, you're holding the same phone. Here's where things get genuinely strange. In the Philippines, both phones are already available. At the same time, from the same parent company with almost identical specifications, the only real differences are camera, design, and price. That's a very unusual situation because it creates a direct internal competition. If you like the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus but would rather pay significantly less, the POCO M8 Pro is sitting right there, basically offering you the same experience. So now we arrive at the real question. Is the jump from a 200 megapixel main camera to a 50 megapixel main camera worth the amount of money you're saving? That's not something I can answer yet, but the fact that this question exists at all says a lot about how close these two phones really are. If you're a POCO fan, this is a good thing. You're getting a more balanced phone without sacrificing build quality, display quality, or long-term software support. If you're a Redmi fan, this might feel a little uncomfortable because suddenly the cheaper option is doing almost everything your phone does. So, joke's on who? If you paid extra for the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus specifically for the camera, then you probably still made the right choice. Maybe. But if you're looking purely at the overall experience, the build, the display, the performance, and the software support, the POCO M8 Pro makes a very strong case for itself. I still need more time with the cameras before saying anything definitive, but as first impressions go, this phone is closer to its more expensive sibling than it has any right to be. That's it for this one. Drop a sub or like if you feel like supporting the channel, and as always, till the next one, stay safe.